name's Nigel Verdon. I'm CEO and co-founder of Railsbank, and Railsbank goal is to enable any company to be a fintech. So startup companies on their journey to growing and becoming world-leading companies, or existing brands like supermarkets and others to offer financial services. We've just, as Helen said earlier on, we just launched in the US. So that makes us the only global banking as a service platform, as we're now live in the US, UK, Europe, and Southeast Asia. US, we've also, and not only launched the US, we've also launched a new product, and that is a credit as a service product. And on top of that, we credit card as a service for the US market, and hired a wonderful guy called Dov Mamor, who we worked together when I was in Currency Cloud, which is the last company I founded. He then went to Green Dot and ran banking as a service for Green Dot as a well-known issuer over there, and he now runs the United States or North America for Railsbank. So a shout out to Dov if he's listening. Welcome to the team, and he's already very well known in the United States, and hopefully he'll be able to be on one of these open banking excellence events as a talker sometime soon. One real learning thing was trying to understand the customer, because it was very much marketed, and especially on the government side, towards consumers, where if I went to my grandmother and asked my grandmother, or 90% of the market who aren't really technical, what open banking was, they wouldn't have a clue at all. So I think one of the learnings is if you're implementing open banking in your industry, is address the real customer of it, which is the fintech industry, the accounting industry, the lending industry, all the others who can build product. And then consumers, they will get amazing experiences on the back of that. So I think that's one area that was missed. Some other areas is, I think the key thing is standards. The internet was successful in the 1990s because there was independent standards throughout the world, and I think blockchain still struggles on this because there's multiple competing standards. If you look at email, in the 1990s, there was a ton of competing email platforms from Microsoft, and Apple had its own. There's Open with SMTP and the web standards. When everybody settled on the standard, email then become ubiquitous amongst everybody out there. I think the challenge now is, because we've already got UK standards, we've got the Berlin Group standards, we've got other standards appearing. As an industry, we almost need to give ownership of what open banking protocols are, so people implement them to a standards body. I think that's a learning from it. But to have standards, you've got to have somebody who went first, and so hats off to everybody in the UK who went first. It'll be driven by a combination of consumers and by regulators, the ideal way, because the regulators get people to the inertia, and they do play a massive role in that, but they're not standards bodies. I think it's all the niche open banking initiatives in the UK, in Europe, in Australia, in Canada, and it's starting, I know, in Israel, and talking to the regulator down there, and others. They should all need to get the ISO involved, so that the protocols are made a standard. That is quite a task, because that's probably a 5 to 10 year task to get those really out. 5 years probably is the first publication, but that will really radically change the ability of openness and global banking. Because if you look at anybody who's a global bank, and I'm not picking HSBC, I just happen to know some of the numbers, that's about 50 banks with one logo on the top, and that's how it exists. If you had open banking standards across those 50 banks, I can guarantee HSBC internally would operate a lot more efficiently as well, because you've had protocols allow you to decouple internal logic. So it's the whole thinking that people like Richard Stallman, who is behind the Open Source Foundation, and all those movements out of MIT not many years ago. That whole open protocol, open standards and everything does mean you can be a lot more efficient and a lot more powerful and work in an open world. And you look at the places where people have their fiefdom and they're still trying to control it, and everybody else is open. It's Apple found it with the email. They had a great email app, but nobody liked it because everybody was an SMTP.